Hello, Simon Gorza from RIO Products, here talking about some new products we're coming out with in the Trout Spey world. So very simply with Trout Spey, if you don't know what it is, it's two-handed rods fishing for trout with rods like 2 weights, 3 weights and 4 weights. Our ultralight two-handed rods, not the big steelhead salmon rods and not the one-handed rods, but two-handed rods. Becoming all popular and all the rage in Montana and Idaho. A lot of people are using these, and so we've got this whole series of lines designed to load up these rods. They can also be used on one-handed rods, and I'll finish off this little clip by telling you about that. Let's keep it real simple. There's two types. There's this green type, which is what's called a Skagit. So if you don't know anything about it, Skagit type lines are lines designed to throw big flies and sinking tips. So if you're fishing streamers in the fall or need a sink tip on the end, then the Skagit type of line is what you need. This is called the In-Touch Skagit Trout Spey. You can get it as a head, which means it's just this short piece of line. You can see this one here is 16 foot long. That's all it is. And then you attach it to a running line, or you can get it built in with a running line and a head all as one piece. That's a little bit easier for people to comprehend, especially trout anglers who don't like the loop-to-loop join going inside the rod guides. You still do need to put some kind of tip on the front end of this, a floating tip or a sinking tip. Otherwise it's too short to cast and it turns over too quick. So that is for big flies and sink tips. That's the In-Touch Skagit Trout Spey, head or integrated. The other one, the kind of one I prefer fishing because I like the smaller flies like soft tackles and dry flies and smaller streams, unweighted stuff like that, is the In-Touch Trout Spey. And this is just a tan color line, has long tapers, great presentation, it's beautiful with little streamers, it's great with soft tackles, it's great with dry flies and stuff like that. And you can get it as a head again, which you attach to your own running line, or as before, as with the Skagit one, you can also get it in an integrated version with a running line built in. This is a better one for most trout anglers, as I say, because they don't like that loop-to-loop connection. But one thing to bear in mind, the advantage with the heads is if you have one reel with a shooting line on, you can change heads. You can go streamer fishing, work your way down a pool with a streamer, see some fish rising, take this off, put this one on, put on your soft tackles or your dry flies with that. So that is one advantage with getting the head system, is that you can change them about. But if you know there's only one type you want, get the single integrated version. And if you're really totally new at this game and you don't really know much about the Skagit and the Trout Spey world, probably the best thing to get is the fat box. See how fat that is? This is the actual In-Touch Skagit Trout Spey Versatip. And this is the box that has it all. So in this box is one of these heads. There's the shooting line to go with it, the right size shooting line. There's 3 tips in here. There's a floating tip, there's what's called a 5 and 5 tip, so it's half floating, 5 foot floating, 5 foot sinking, and then there's a full 10 foot sinking tip for getting lots of depth and dredging. So if you're really just starting off and you just want to get something that everything in the box and not buy all the individual components, this is the way to go. The In-Touch Skagit Trout Spey Versatip. And at the beginning I was saying how these have been designed to work with two-handed rods, the Trout Speys, but also one-handed rod. So this is a 3-weight, it says it right there. What's really important is you remember the rule of 3. And what the rule of 3 means is this will go on a two-handed rod, that's a 3-weight, or it'll go perfectly on a 6-weight one-handed rod. In other words, you add 3 numbers to this. On this one, this is a 4-weight, this will be good on a 7-weight single-handed rod. So that's the rule of 3. They've been designed, they're short enough to fish and cast beautifully with one-hander if you don't want to get those two-handed trout speys. But boy, if you don't, you're missing out on something unbelievably fun. Those two-handed trout speys are sublimely fun to cast. They're great to play a fish on, and they're just wonderful. You've got obstructions tight behind you, and you can just throw out some mean stuff. So there it is, the new Trout Spey range from RIO.